Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. This is a little video about my car hobby and some of the other videos I've had. I've, brought up that I'm a car guy and I've been one for all my life. So I thought I'd give you a little history on that topic. Back when I was a teenager, just got my license. I was just into cars. There was the first time I really started getting into it is I was a kid. I might have been about 13 maybe. My dad had an old 57 Ford, and it needed a valve job or pull the heads, and anyway, so he knew a friend of his, a younger guy, came out and was going to pull the heads at the house and have them done. So I went out and I was fascinated by taking the head off the car, and the guy explained what he was doing and how and explained how a motor worked and everything, and I was just engulfed in the whole thing. I just thought it was a great deal. So anyway, so that got me into it, and then I started nosing around everybody else's hot rods and things like that, and I wanted to race, but didn't have a license yet, So anyway, when I got a license, my dad got a '63 Chevy Impala. It was paid $624 for it. My dad asked the gal, he says, well, why do you want $624 for it? She goes, because I was going to trade it in, and that's all they were going to give me, $624. So my dad gave her $624, and I took it home. And it was this little stock 327 car, not a big deal. But first thing I did back then, they used to jack the rear ends up really rake them really bad, So that's what, that's what I did. I put the air shocks on there and the big tires on the back and jacked it away. Kind of cornball now, but that was kind of the thing what they did back then. And so I drove that, and it wasn't fast or anything like that. But I was a good safe driver, never had no trouble. But I was always getting my foot in that baby all the time. So I ended up, when I got in high school, I met a guy. He was a lot older than me, in my 20s. And his name was Dan too, another Dan. Not the Dan I talk about for one of my youth. This is another one. I've had 3 Dans for best friends throughout my life. It's kind of weird. They're all named Dan. But he had we got together, and I was the car guy, and he was in with all the car guys. He had a whole ton of them. Then they went to the party that night, they everything. And they would have, like he worked at the local 76 Union station, gas station. And every Friday and Saturday night, he'd close about 10 o'clock, both nights. In the meantime, we'd go in and the boss was gone, and we would go in, and all the guys would just hang out at the 76 station. It was a lot of business there then. He had to go out and wait on cars, pump the gas. That was back in the day. And so we'd all hang out there, and we got to use the lift to change oil and dink around in our cars because it was slow. Nobody really cared, and that was a great time. We would just have a really good time doing that. Anyway, Dan had a '67 Plymouth GTX with a 440 in it, and it was a pretty fast car. Pretty fast car. But so me and Dan got to be like best friends, and he would go out and he would after we closed up on the 76 station there, he would go. We'd travel. We were in Dublin, and then we would drive out to the Bay Area. And it was a miracle mile, they called it. And it was more than a mile, but it was a big drag. It was like a strip, not drag strip, but it was something where at night, and it was a big deal. You would get, it would be like maybe a 2, maybe even 3 mile deal where everybody cruised, and it was late night, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and everybody there would be hundreds of cars here. They would be parked at the drive-in, McDonald's, and they would, the parking lots, and they would just be bumper to bumper, and they would just cruise all the way, the 2 miles or whatever it was, and they would turn around and go back, and this would just go on. You'd pick up girls there, you'd pick up drag races there. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun for us car guys anyway. But we would go down and, if you had a car you wanted to race, you'd go up next to him. If you could get up next to him, you'd rev it, he'd rev his. Okay, let's go down the street. And they'd go to these streets where there's no one out, and they'd out in the outskirts and race. And it was a lot of fun. It was kind of dangerous, but, what can I say? That was when I was a stupid kid. But they would race and have fun, and like I said, they'd stop at McDonald's and have burgers and Cokes and fries, and everybody get to check out everybody's new cars. And that was a good time of the year. That was around 69, and they had 69 and 70. They had the Hemi Cudas were out, and these are all brand new cars, Road Runners, and all the the big Corvettes were there, and it was a really fun time if you wanted to see a car that you wanted to race or just take a look at a car you hadn't seen. You go down and rev it up, talk to the guy out the window, and they'd pull over and check out the cars, and it was just a lot of fun. If you're a car guy, it was a lot of fun, and then, like I said, then through Dan, I got into all the car guys, and these are all mainly older guys than I was. I was 16, 17, and these guys were probably early 20s. And but there was a lot of them. They all knew Dan, and I just had a ball with those guys. They were all into Mopars, other than me at the time. Mopars are Dodge, Plymouth, Chrysler cars. That's what they call them, Mopars, for a nickname. And I was always no disrespect to any of the Chevy, Ford guys out there. I'm not. It's just what I was into, and I like all those cars too. I've had most all of them too. And anyway, after that, I ended up buying when I got a pretty good job, and I was making pretty good money. Got a little bit older, so I got me a 427 Corvette. Beautiful thing. 435 horse, 3 deuce or 3 2-barrel carburetors on blue. In fact, when I got married in it, we left the church in that. And then I also had, for the wife, I had a 396 cubic inch Camaro, 68 I think it was, and that was a beautiful car. And then I also had a 68 Oldsmobile 442, which was a gorgeous car, 4-speed. Oh, it was a nice car. So some of the cars I had when I was younger. And so anyway, so as I got older and we got married and kids and everything, I was getting into the Mopars mainly. I just kind of did that, and I started doing restorations on my own on the side a little bit. I wasn't the greatest at it, but I would get them and tear them down, and have my little shop down in the lower property, and the garage, and it was all set up for restorations and stuff like that. And so one day I called, I put an ad in the paper, and that's how you sold cars. You didn't have internet back then. Put an ad, I paid for one of the project cars I wanted to get rid of. And another friend, Dan, 3 Dans, he calls me up, and he comes out, and he buys the car, and he was an older guy, a little older than me, not real old, but maybe 3-4 years older than me. And we're older now. I mean, I don't know how old I was, maybe in my 40s, maybe 45, I'm not sure. So, and he was a fanatic. His whole life revolved around Mopars. He restored them. He had a big shop, all the equipment. He would go out and buy cars like one after another, and buy them good price and restore them. He was serious. It was a hobby for me, but he was engulfed in it. He really, really did have the heartbeat. He like I said, he just he would put an ad in the paper for Dodge Plymouth cars, and back then, you know, they weren't worth a lot. You know, they weren't worth a lot. He would put an ad in the paper, you know, I'll take anything you got, and you know, and as long as the price is right. And he was buying 68, 69 Chargers for $350 that were, you know, projects, were pretty good shape, you know, basically, because they weren't worth anything. You know, you could buy them for, I don't know, maybe a couple grand, good shape, you know. So I'd be sitting there, we'd have all the car guys, you know, from up there, different car guys that I all knew through him. We'd be sitting around drinking a beer, and all of a sudden some guy pack his trailer you know, back his trailer up to the garage, and hey, got a '69 Roadrunner coming in. You know, he give me $350 for it. I will, you know. And so he was a big man in town. He was a great guy, and we became best friends. And I would, for years, once, twice a week, for years and years and years, I'd go down there to his place. He's about 40 minutes away. And I'd go down there and I'd help him work on his cars. And I restored a bunch of my cars down there at his place, too, that he helped me with a lot. And for my collection I've got 4 cars now. But, or 5 cars, I guess it is. But anyway, but it was a great time with him. He just recently passed, maybe I think about a year ago. It's a sad day for me, and along with everybody else too. And but anyway, it was he helped me a lot, and he fine-tuned my restoration abilities too, you know, because he was really good. He knew everything about them you could possibly imagine. And anyway, but the car guy in me is still strong. It's just that I've got a lot of health issues, and it's hard for me to you know, work on it too much anymore. You know, I got, you know, bad, I'm not bitching. I got bad knees, bad feet, and I got, you know, I got a lot of stuff, and I'm getting old. I'm getting on 74 now, so it's you know, my cars I ended up having, which I have now, still have them. I have a 68 Charger with, I think it's 12 miles on it since the restoration. And I've got a 70 Cuda 440, Plum Crazy Purple, that I've had since, she's 35 years, the first one I did. And I've got a 70 Roadrunner 446 pack 4-speed. It's got, I think, 57 miles on it, 81 miles on it, excuse me. And then I've got a 67 Hemi GTX. Got, I think, about 1,500 miles on it since the restoration. And then I've got a 69 Corvette convertible. So that's what I have in my collection. And I love them. I don't really drive anymore. But they're resting, as I say. So anyway, this is a little bit of my car hobby. Like I said, I wish I could be more engulfed in it than I am. But anyway, that's what I got to say about that, and I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks.